takes longer than 5 minutes, they don't want to get involved. They don't care. Who gives a shit if the police are shitty to homeless as long as they're nice to some women and business owners, right? Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. There's a lot of people I like because they're nice, but that doesn't mean they're good. I'm fucking freezing. Oh, oh, yeah. Coffee. Oh. Morning. Nope, I'm actually sober, but don't tell my mother. I'm in a lot of pain. I had to deal with a lot of jerks, but there's this red-headed lady manager here last night who was totally cool and helped me out. Oh, it's already better. I woke up and I seen you and I seen her. Not that I'm glad you guys exist, but I am. I have hair? Another beautiful day in paradise. I was like, I'll cook coffee in a grande cup with 10 sugars, some raws, and cream. And oysters. Oh, sorry, it's chilly out. My fingers got to warm up a little bit and then they'll work. Perfect. I refuse every day. I got the Peter Pan syndrome. I will never grow up.
And then my boss, hi? Yes. And then my boss said, put on your big girl panties and get to work.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, really? I have to. I have to deal with high school students all day long. Well, no, you're sick.
Well, next time just tell her you're a real man and you go commando.
There's that. She would probably tell me that was too much information.
Yeah, I'm definitely not couth, but sometimes I'm funny.
You know, you can't laugh, you'll cry. Right?
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes I do that too, but don't tell anyone it's unmanly.
Oh no, I don't find a man that cries.
Me either. It just depends on how snotty they are and whether or not they want to put their head on my shoulder with that booger nose.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
There's no boogers. I deal with that enough. Have a great day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for visiting. That's better.
Do you want a straw?
The first drink kind of tastes like peanut butter. It makes me wonder what I ate before I went to bed.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes, no. Okay, smell the sun off.
I try to learn one name a day. It's too early in the morning, but I will try to remember your name eventually.
That's probably, if you take the little pollen pods out of them, then I count. But somebody has to sit and pull all the little pollen pods out of them.
Sorry about that.
We, every time somebody buys one of our eggs, it's just sticks outside and sits and pulls all the little pollen out.
Garbage, can opener. No, so thanks. I have money. Oh my God, I found money. Anyway, I guess yesterday's probably about the best birthday I've had in a while. Thank you, ma'am.
Did you want a new lead or do you want this?
Nope, I'll interchange. I like recycling. I'm used to dinner last night between the pumpkins last week before last, the kids in my vehicle threatening to kill me. Of course, last night, I don't know how many times they called me the N-word while driving by. If you listen to the videos, you'll hear it's both men and women different. It's pretty popular at times, yes.
Have a great day. I was like, what are you doing?
How does it relate compared to Chapel, Nebraska? Chapel's worse. It's a smaller town, there's more space in between you and where there's anything that's going to help you. Here, I probably would have gotten help if I was a local when I first got here. Because when I first got here, if I'd have been a local, people would have known right off the bat that I don't do drugs and I'm not interested in their drama. But that's not how it works. When you first move to an area, you got about a week and a half as a male who's homeless before you start getting messed with by the cops. And maybe they won't give you a ticket, maybe they won't arrest you, maybe they'll just pound you incessantly. Or worse. What's worse than getting hounded by the cops is getting ignored while people are threatening to kill you and your friends and family, insulting you, stealing your things. The cops just want to look the other way and pretend it's not happening. There's no such thing as a cop. As far as my fellow countrymen go, they're not going to fight for me the way that I fight for them. I already know that. I already know that as a male, if I go to my friends for help, they're going to say they're sorry. or they're going to tell me to go to somebody else. And they'll keep on doing that until I want my life to end, which, of course, I can't say. See, if you admit that people bully you to the point that you want your life to end, they will lock you up for wanting your life to end because of the bully. They won't do anything about the bully. They literally discredit the victim. And then they tell the victim it's their fault. Now, this is disgusting. And the whole country runs this way. We've taught women that they're not to be held responsible for their actions. We've also taught men that unless you are the top 5% good looking and rich, nobody cares about you. You're not a person. You got to be Johnny Depp in order for somebody to care. You got to be Jason Momoa for somebody to care. Now, when you decide that you're going to gang stalk a man, which is primarily the way that women do it. Men, if they're going to stalk a woman, it's one-on-one. When a woman stalks a man, it's not just her, it's her friends' boyfriends, her friends' husbands, her friends' parents, her friends' kids. And nobody cares if kids. Good morning. Oh. Morning, Mel. Now, I'm not sure if you noticed, while I was here yesterday, one of the managers, well, two of the managers were looking out for me. The store manager here is Malcolm. When I was assaulted by wolnez 2 days ago, Malcolm's the one that told me to go in the building. If you tried sneaking in there, then we'll call it in. Of course, yesterday evening, you got to see that I had to wait for him to leave before I could come this direction. Thank goodness he didn't see me in my car, but he did eyeball my car pretty good. And after assaulting me on at least 5 occasions that are recorded, obviously I'm not real happy about it. Okay, so I pulled a duh and threw my lid away. Did I get another one? I'm sorry about that. It's too early in the morning.
Yeah, I understand.
Now, every time that I move somewhere, when I get overwhelmed, the first things that I forget are names and numbers. And a lot of people prey on that. And every time that I move, I have to learn people's names. A lot of people, they only give their first name or they give you a gamer tag, basically. A lot of street people have street names. Most of them, their street name is the same name that they'll get on and play Star Trek Online. I don't have a street name. My real name is Sean, so that's what I do.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
Also, I believe that hiding like that is cowardly. If you're going to do something, do it under your name, not an assumed name. If you have to use an assumed name to get your foot in the door, that's understandable. Just make sure you let people know who you are. I made 2 fake accounts on Facebook before Natalie got killed. And both of those were to try to get help stopping abuse. Then there's, of course, after the fact, people want to tell me to go do all the things I did at the very beginning. Well, do you have any friends to go to for help or any family? No, I already tried that. What was Kayla Trujillo busy doing? Selling weed. Playing video games. When you tell your friend if they come over that you'll help them, and they're disabled, and you know that they don't have the ability to do that easily, and then you basically ignore them for 3 days and then treat them like they've been there too. But hey, I kept my word, you didn't keep yours. Why do you get to harm me from that? As a male, nearly my entire life, I've gotten to take a lot of punishment because everything is men's fault. A lot of women will just straight out start thrashing me because the men that they dated were trash. Not sure if you knew this, but I've never had a girlfriend. Ever. So blaming me for any of that is, well, it's about like in Chapel, Nebraska, where they blame everything on blacks and Mexicans, and there's no blacks or Mexicans there. It makes no sense.
There you go.
You too.
You're very welcome.
If you're gonna blame men for the crappy men that you dated, why don't you blame the crappy men that you dated, or more reasonably so, maybe internalize and realize why it is that none of these men are interested in you anymore, no matter how much makeup you cake on your face. Then there's women like Jessica Markendale. You know, she got two sisters that are both dropping dead gorgeous. Both of her sisters are girls that guys from Chapel, Nebraska just fell head over heels for. But Jessica didn't wear makeup. She wasn't the perfect one in the crowd. She was the one with all the brains, though. And that's what I liked. I actually continued to think of her as intelligent until she became a police officer. But at least I had some respect for her. Then I realized what a low-down, dirty POS her husband is. Another former cop. Hey, take a look at Waylon Lowenthal and all the horrible things he did. And you realize that he's still a cop. If that's the truth. What did Will do that was so horrible that he's no longer allowed to be a police officer? It's a good question. Now, one thing that I've been fighting for at least the last 7 years is assisted termination of life for disabled men, for homeless men, for men in general. You know, when we're harmed, we're treated like we're just mansplaining everything. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I'd like all of the women to take advantage of me. They have to do this for themselves. And I mean, have to. Here's the thing, quality. If you only want equality when it benefits you, and the rest of the time you want benefits to be given only to your neighbor, you're not after equality. You're after domination. We call that tyranny. Now, of course, a lot of us like to pretend that American democracy is based on Greek democracy. It's really not. The type of democracy that we pulled on in order to have our Revolutionary War was the same same democracy the pirates had in the 1720s in the Caribbean, the survivors of Queen Anne's War. Not that you noticed or even care, but they were from every nation. Dutch, English, French, Germans, all serving aboard the same ship. These people got tired of murdering each other over royals. Here in America, we got too many primary beneficiaries for people to actually stand up, though. Thank you all for the coffee this morning. So I gotta pull on my big girl panties, go back out through the cold. I'm surprised my phone's still working in here. It literally never works in here, especially right over by the coffee counter. Hold on a second. This is amazing. My phone is working here and it never works in this spot. Doesn't that look inviting? I was just noticing that you're working. Yep, I was by about 10 minutes ago. You were also working then?
Sorry? I know. Usually I sleep most time. I was here too sleeping.
I almost believe you.
Yeah, just sleeping. Yeah. That's how it is.
Yeah, I always went to work to sleep.
Always.
That's the same thing school is for, nap time.
Just another settings.
Hey, could I get some of this macaroni and cheese over here and maybe a couple of these pieces of chicken?
Actually, that has been in there for about 4 hours now.
Oh, yep.
We can try it back somewhere else.
All right. They're always a good sport. Oh yes. I was trying to figure out the lottery machine, but then I noticed there's a shopping cart summary thing, so I figured it was probably something professional required. Thanks, ma'am. Do is that the lottery itself? You have to use the machine, or all right? I'm not going to be able to figure it out. But thank you. Open sesame. Well, on the bright side, go ahead. On the bright side, it's starting to warm up now that the sun come out. It's young enough them little shitheads from last night are probably either still in bed or getting ready for school. It's amazing how much racist asswipes will go through to make somebody else's life suck just for existing. On the bright side, I haven't shot any of the little bastards. On the bright side, I haven't drug any of the little bastards behind my vehicle till their heads popped off. Yeah, I'm from Nebraska. That's the same vicinity as at least 3 people who had their heads pop off while being dragged behind a vehicle. Although technically none of them were actually in Nebraska. There was 1 in Wyoming and 2 in Colorado. Can you imagine hating someone so much for something they're not doing to you, that you drag them behind your vehicle until their head pops off? That guy in Wyoming, why was he dragged behind a vehicle until his head popped off? This was back when I was in high school. Because he was gay. That's right. No other reason. He wasn't trying to hit on the popular guys. He wasn't running around raping women. He wasn't dealing drugs. No, he was just gay. 2 guys in Colorado that had their heads pop off because they were dragged behind a vehicle. We're both homeless. Obviously, nobody gave 2 shits about them because they were homeless. But lots of people cared about that gay guy. That was back in the 90s. Of course, I was in Chapel, Nebraska when that happened. Chapel, Nebraska, the mentality is a lot like here in Tillamook. You got the people who have parents that got money. They're going to have all the advantages through their entire life. If someone harms them, people are going to care. Many of them are so pampered that they believe if they just pretend that somebody might, that's good enough an excuse to harm people, isn't it? Ugh, gross. We got predators like wolnez, and there have been hundreds of these assholes. And then we got women who believe that when a man needs help, it means ignore him for months on end, give him empty promises, and tell him to be patient. There's people here who said to me, Sean, I consider us friends. And I'm thinking to myself, but we don't do any friend things. Sometimes I see you while you're at work. That's about it. I do try to make sure that everybody I meet leaves with more than they came with. even if it's just a smile or a laugh. But I ain't got time for all that. I don't want to exist anymore. See, it got complicated before I ever fucking got here. Because I had no friends. I had people who pretended to give a shit when it benefited them. I mean, there's no doubt that Kayla Trujillo was nice to me when it benefited her. There's no doubt that Mandy Hughes, Mandy Singer, man, what a fucking pain in the ass those women were. See, here's the thing about Melissa Rainwater and her mom, Mandy Hughes. They were both completely full of shit. They both wanted to waste time, and they did so intentionally. They intentionally lied to me and misrepresented the situation, not only to me, but also to my predators. But it doesn't matter, because Americans don't care about Americans. They care only about themselves. I know a lot of single parents that aren't actually single and aren't actually parents. You got a live-in boyfriend, but you still want to collect alimony. Well, all right. That doesn't make you a good person. That doesn't mean you did it yourself. How many women do you know that think that mooching off of a man is doing it all themselves? Your alimony is doing it all yourself. You're fucking trash. It's hard to find women in this country that aren't trash. The ones that are not trash, I'm thankful for, but that don't mean they're going to help a man. A lot of these folks, they're not going to take time to hear what's going on or why. They're certainly not going to look at the evidence. But my predators, man, they love the shit out of that. They'll dig for any goddamn excuse that makes their sins okay. Look at Wolnez. What are the chances of him being a pedophile? They're actually a lot better than mine. Do you know why? Because he's a parent. Who's the most likely person to molest your kids? The answer is always you. You, the parent, are the most likely person to molest your kid. This Wolnez feller wanted to be a piece of shit over them youngins who keep harassing me too. So what do? Do I kill all the kids in this town? Hell no. Do I kill Andrew Wolnez? Hell no. The example needs to be set. Officer Lothman needs to be in prison. Deputy Reeves needs to be in prison. There isn't a single mandated reporter in this fucking town who doesn't deserve prison time. Not one. All of them have profiteered off of our abuse. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. Ain't none of you good people. Some of you are nice, but used car salesmen are nice. You know how much time it takes and wastes trying to fish through a bunch of nice people so that I can pluck out all the used car salesmen? Of course, the more used car salesmen you pluck out of the lot, the more of them are going to spring up. Then there's small town politics. Who's popular and who ain't? If somebody's predatory, but they got friends from high school, you might have to contend with their friends from high school out of some schizophrenic nut job that won't leave you the fuck alone. My fellow countrymen are trash. I have no safe place to go. I have no place to work on this shit. I get talked over by literally everyone. There is no reason for me to do anything other than commit suicide. I have no fucking hope. One of the manager ladies at the Safeway yesterday, she gave me a $25 gift card for gas. Thank goodness I needed it. She wanted to insist on buying me something. Can you buy me some time? I'm glad she didn't get me a cake. I probably would have barfed it up last night. It's something I did try to get across. She wanted to be nice, and I get that. Thank you. I try to be pleasant. I try to pretend everything's all right so that I don't get fucking smashed, railroaded, and ran over again. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. I do mean everyone. This shit happens every day while you pretend that you're too busy to care. No. That's never a valid excuse. If your friend is being abused, you either make time or you're not friends. You're a piece of shit. On the bright side, there's multiple people who heard that shit last night, actually in the vicinity. But I can't go to the cops, and I can't call 911. I'll be abused in both of those cases. Somebody else has to call 911. The problem is that every officer in this county, every police officer in this county anyway, has taken part in this bullshit. One of these assholes got to retire. What a fucking trashy piece of shit. What a dumb son of a bitch. Yeah, I just called a retiree's mother a bitch. Isn't that what son of a bitch means? Maybe this asswipe will hear that I said something about his mama and he'll come gunning for me. I doubt it, though. I'd feel a lot safer if I had a protection order against Farnsworth. And any of you who have paid attention to my channel have seen why. But also you get to see that in the last few times that I've seen him, he hasn't started any shit. He hasn't yelled at me or screamed at me or accused me of doing shit I didn't do. The police are the reason I can't go to the police. Hospitals are the reason I can't go to hospitals. Your bias, your hatred of the homeless. I'm good with explosives, I'm good with guns. I'm a hell of a shot. Natural shot, though. No practice. Not much practice. And for certainly no military training whatsoever. No marksmanship training. Nothing of that sort. When I was younger, I could see pretty far distance. Me and my roommate, Chris Stegeman, we both had... Well, I had a Yugoslavian SKS with a bayonet on the end of it. I left the bayonet locked, and it was unsharpened. And I bought him an AK-47 for his birthday. They both used 7.62 by 39 millimeter ammunition. He worked at Cabela's at the time, so we could get a 500 round box of ammunition that's normally $50. We could get it for $35, $40, somewhere in there. We went through 2 to 3 boxes of ammunition every month. He'd aim for the bottle and I'd aim for the cap. 50 to 100 yards every time. There's also the fact that the SKS is just a more accurate rifle. There's also the fact that he got a Romanian AK-47, so it did not have a chrome line barrel. Man, we shot a lot of bullets out of that fucker. Now, for some of it, it does come down to your ability to see the target. From some of it, it comes down to your motor reflexes. Some of it comes to familiarity with your firearm. Now, Chris Stegeman is actually a pretty good shot for as little practice as he had. And it's not like I just fired mine and he just fired his. No, we both fired each other's firearms quite a bit. Was I better than him with his AK-47? No, I wasn't. I had problems hitting the fucking bottle at 100 yards. I'd usually miss by an inch or two. If I was out poaching squirrels, I would be entirely ineffective. But if that was a man-sized silhouette, I'd hit it every time. And Chris Stegeman, same thing. If it had been a man-sized silhouette, he would have hit it every time. We probably averaged, both of us probably averaged 1 out of every 3 shots hit the bottle, which actually isn't too bad with an AK-47. With the SKS, however, Chris Stegeman would hit the bottle, I'd say 2 out of 3 shots, but he shot it more than that. I mean, when we first started out, it was maybe 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3. But, you know, after living together for a couple of months and going out and shooting that many rounds of ammunition, he probably hit that bottle 9 out of 10 shots at 100 yards. And that's, y'all might not think that's all that significant. Some of you. People from farm country, they're used to wide open ranges they can fire through. You go to some place like here in Western Oregon, or over in Tennessee or Virginia. Fuck, you tell those people that in Nebraska, you can take a 600-yard shot and actually drop a deer. They're like, you can't see a deer at 600 yards. Well, of course not. These people, let me show you what I'm working with here. Those are trees inside of town, right? Chapel, Nebraska has trees in town too. People plant trees all the time. Nebraska is flat with almost no trees, especially in western Nebraska. Just the other side of all those buildings, we're surrounded by mountains. You can see them just the top of that. You see that pine tree there? There's a bunch of them all up in the mountains you can see behind those buildings. The campsite I'm at, it's got a lot of foliage that's been cut out of there because there's a guy who has an oyster farm, and he goes up there and he chops down some of the trees that are at least 5-6 inches around. That way he can use 4 per pallet to stake the pallets down. Even with all the foliage that he cut out of there, you have to be in very specific spots in order to see anything beyond 60 yards. In a lot of those areas, if you're lucky enough to be able to see even something huge like an elk, well, you get up there you might see your elk, but there's going to be no way for you to get through. To get that elk, if you drop it, you're going to have to hack through with a machete. You're probably going to need a hacksaw. I did run into a deer trail up there, and it's for certainly a deer trail. And of course, from part of that deer trail, I could see my car. My car was only about 30 yards away. That's it. And although I could just barely see my car, just barely the very top of it, I was able to see it. Now the thing is that there was no way in hell that I was going to be able to travel that 30 yards to get to my car. Just too much stuff in the way. In order for me to get back to my car, I had to travel almost 200 yards through the deer trail back to the course. The course is another term for the road, obviously, but it's also a hunting term. It's also a golfing term, obviously. But the course is the route that you take, the main route that you have a game trail that crosses. I got all sorts of stuff in here that could turn potentially into really bad fucking ideas if I was an idiot. For example, I got pipes back here that are 40 millimeters. I could try pulling a dumbass and making an RPG too. Now, of course, I've also seen what's happening to people in Myanmar who are making their own homemade RPG-2s. They're making it out of the same pipe that I got, the same exact one. Vietnam exports these pipes worldwide. Russia gets these Vietnamese pipes. Myanmar gets these Vietnamese pipes. The Vietnamese manufacture these pipes themselves. Do they still produce the RPG-7 or the RPG-2 in Vietnam? Well, to my knowledge, they never actually made their own version of the RPG-7. They were gifted nearly 750,000 of them by the Russians. The Chinese made a version too, and they gave a lot of those to Vietnam. And the Vietnamese were able to get a lot of parts that they were able to fix to their own stuff and kind of sort of make a almost variation. But it's not a home-built rifle or a home-built gun. It's, well, with the RPG-2, for example, they might get a whole bunch of parts kits from Russia, especially since by the time Vietnam was ongoing, the RPG-2 had already been phased out by Russia in favor of the RPG-7. And I've got all sorts of stuff here that could be bad ideas. See, I got my bear spray. And I actually legit have this for bears. Now, them youngins, if I was to carry this with me, and obviously I can't run as fast as I need to in order to get their license plates. But some of them, they've been close enough to me. I could have blasted them right in the window with this, and they wouldn't have gone anywhere. If they'd have tried to drive anywhere, they'd have wrecked, because you can't see with this shit in your face. And let's say, like most of the time, it's the passenger that I'm able to see, and the passenger who's close. Even the overspray from blasting the passenger in the face, that bear mace shit, yeah, that's bad enough that the driver might need to go to the fucking hospital just from overspray. It's not something I look forward to using. There's also the fact that if there's just a little bit of wind, I might end up with that shit all up in my face. Still, that's easier to recover from than having an RPG-2 or an RPG-7 blow up next to your fucking head.
restoration in our shop here in Stone, Massachusetts. Like everything else, it's when somebody takes something apart and then it becomes somebody else's job to put it back together.
Panzer
It
One.
gets a little frustrating at times. So many parts had to be remanufactured and produced here in Stowe.
Let's look up Myanmar homemade guns.
There's a reason some people...
Oh, come on now. We don't want to listen to this shit. This guy ended up dead. Alright, it says... Oh, come on now. They sweat for hours in makeshift workshops that are often targeted by Myanmar's military. It says they have no professional training and learn how to build weapons from the internet. Yeah, YouTube videos. Art Sloan type, good morning, Sean. Good morning, Art. You're one of my old viewers, aren't you? From about a year and a half ago, I believe. All right, so let's continue this. Are you the Vietnam veteran? I recognize the name, and I kind of recognize the face. I'm just not sure. All right, so let's press play. Here they're testing out their own black powder. Art Sloan typed yep and no. So yes, you're the guy from a year and a half ago, and no, you're not the guy from Vietnam. You're the guy with the grandson. Ah, yes. This one right here, it says, we have lost soldiers while testing the homemade weapons. This is Naaman, soldier from Palais People's Defense Force. And one of the other ones, it explains that he lost his brother to testing. Another one, I think it's the same guy, talks about losing his brother or his brother-in-law to testing. Here it says some died, some lost their hands while testing 60mm and 40mm heavy weapons. In early stages of production, we had weak safety standards. They still have weak safety standards, by the way. However, a lot of the Myanmar rebels have been able to Amazon themselves some pretty insane shit. This is all showing their first set of retrograde weapons. It's a bunch of welded tubes. It's basically the same thing that Gary Jeffson fired off 4th of July. It's a fucking pipe with a base plate and a hole drilled in it. Ugh. They also make their own rifles. And the guy talks about how you get about 3 shots out of a rifle, and that's all the more you get out of it before it explodes. Now they're making it looks like a version of the Vector CZ. If you know anything about the CZ version of the Vector, or even what the Vector is, you probably have more of an education on firearms than just passing. You probably have more of an interest in firearms than just military service. Anyway, they're able to get 3D printers for about $80 to $100. As long as he's got electricity. But these people have to work together to get this. You know, when you're making $15 a month, that's what some of these people are making. You have to rely on your foraging skills. Here in the United States, we got a lot of people with great foraging skills. They're called homeless people. But don't pretend that every homeless person out here is a survivalist. Most of them can't wipe their own asses without assistance. A lot of people have these great ideas for us to get away from our abusers. The problem is their great ideas involve committing crimes. Well, why don't you just go live in the woods? Because I need to be able to defend myself and have a life. Now, obviously, you know, we're only 51 seconds into this video, and it's only 1 minute and 40 seconds long, but most of it is about these people fucking around with their own shit and getting themselves killed or getting their friends and family killed. Art Sloan typed, I viewed your video last night and I'm sorry that you have to deal with those cruel people. Well, I need people to speak up, not just to be sorry. That's one of the things that they teach you when you're a kid in the system is that, you know, there's a lot of people who are going to tell you that they're sorry. That's not help. There's a lot of people with good intentions but no follow-through. That's not help either. There's a lot of stuff that people are offended by, like when they do something that is not helpful, but they assume that it should be. They don't know your situation and don't want to hear it. They just want to distribute advice. What's one of the biggest complaints that we get out of women as men? That we're not listening. A lot of women say, you know, when a woman is trying to vent to you, she's not trying to get you to fix her problems. She just wants to vent. Well, you'd be surprised how many women just wanted to vent and then throw a tantrum because I didn't fix whatever it is she was venting about. The other thing is, I'm not venting. That's not why I made this channel. I didn't make this channel to vent my frustrations. I made this channel to try to get help. When people see that you're being abused, there's two types of people in this world. The type that are going to tell you that they're sorry. And there's the type that are going to say, I'm not going to fucking let this stand. That's the difference between real friends and fair weather friends. Fair weather friends will tell you they're sorry it happened and tell you to move on, give you a bunch of pretty memes, and then when you're still being abused 6 months or even 6 years down the road, they're going to treat you like shit because they're sorry you didn't fix it. Or when you're getting ripped off for literally hundreds of dollars every month and they know about your situation, but instead of speaking up, what do? They send you $50, and 6 months down the road, they treat you like shit because they gave you $50 and you're still homeless. How dare you still be homeless after I gave you $50 6 months ago? And no matter what I go through, people want to blow me off by pretending they got it worse, by pretending they don't have time. If you got time for drinking, you got time to stop predators. If you have time to go drinking every single weekend, Friday and Saturday nights, every weekend, you can take one of those nights. If you actually give a shit about somebody, you take one of those nights out to actually help. But if you do take the time, what do? You end up arguing with the victim, Obviously not you, Art, but people in general and primarily women. We've taught them that they're not to be held responsible for their actions. We got men's rights advocates that are women that don't actually advocate for our rights. One of the first things they do is make excuses for women, and you have to. If you don't make excuses for women's shitty behavior, they're not going to fucking listen. It's because they've been taught not to listen. When she throws herself at a dude who doesn't give a shit about her because he's got options, she's going to act in exactly the way that she tells you is not okay. Good luck finding a woman who doesn't do that shit. The few that don't, I want to thank you for existing. As far as those cruel people aren't the problem. The problem is I have no friends or family. I spend all of my time alone. I have to be afraid to speak to people. I have to be afraid to call 911. I have to be afraid to go to the police. Now, if my viewers who watch this channel and see these things happen, and if they call it in over and over and over again, get their friends to call it in. Call up the local media, anywhere that you happen to be, and explain to them that I'm being harmed no matter where I go. I'm sorry you don't do anything for me except take away my hope. I'm glad that you watched the video last night. There's a few of them from last night. It's not just the N-word. And it's not just out of those youth. One guy drove by me the other day, screamed some racist shit at me while I was standing next to a couple of homeless people, and they told me it was an officer that drove by. I said, really? Which officer? Because officers shouldn't be screaming that shit out their window. Of course, from his personal vehicle he's allowed to, isn't he? But then there's is it actually him driving that vehicle? Is it his son driving that vehicle? Is it somebody else driving that vehicle? Is it really that police officer's off-duty vehicle or one of the Yep, they've already started the suspicious harassment calls this morning. I only got, 40 of those yesterday? I think the record for like a 30-minute video is 200 phone calls. My record for most harassment calls against me in one day is close to 1,000. As far as being a man goes, you're probably not going to be heard if you're a male who's being abused, unless you have a woman who cares or you have a house. If you own the house, you might have some leeway. If you're just dating and you own the house, you definitely have leeway. But we've created a society where women can take advantage of men, and men are just supposed to take it. Now, y'all know that I don't believe in the friend zone. It's not the friend zone. You're either a tool in the toolbox or either a current tool who's worth a fuck. Not sure if you noticed, women get horny too. 47 female teachers now. 47 female teachers this year alone have been arrested for having sex with their students. How many male teachers have been busted having sex with their students? 4. 4. It's an 11-to-1 ratio of female teachers having sex with their students over male educators having sex with their students. Now, don't get me wrong, there's almost a dozen male teachers who have been arrested this year, but only 4 of them for having sex with their students. Oh, just got another harassment message. Cute. And thank you, Art Sloan. I don't have any friends. None. Who am I going to hang out with? What friends do I spend time with? Don't get me wrong, a lot of these drug addicts, they're nice, but they're so fucked up on drugs. What do I have in common with them? And I tried to get help stopping the abuse before Natalie was killed. But you can see what shitty goddamn friends I had. Friends like Kayla Trujillo. Friends like Mandy Singer. At least Mandy admitted that the reason she did the fucked up shit she did because she's a drug addict. Y'all have no idea how important that is. Most people blame their victim. In a lot of cases, that's what makes them a victim. When you don't keep your word as a woman, you're taught to blame it on men. It's all men's fault when you don't get what you want right when you wanted it. You want to be able to talk about how you did it all yourself, but you didn't. You mooched off of men. The 5% of men that you find attractive are the ones you're going to throw yourself at. Chances are pretty good that they're all taken, though. So you might settle for somebody in the top 20. You might. But the bottom 80% are men that you consider ugly. And women are far more susceptible to looks than men. Looks are far more important to women than they are to men. Most of us men are taught to be functional. We want our work environment to be functional. We want our bed to be functional. We want our lights to be functional. It's when you start trying to please a woman that you're spending $800 on paint, $600 on filigree, $900 on fancy molding for the trim, $2,400 to fancify your goddamn deck, $65 so that you can get fancier lettering on your house for your address, $150 for a wall decal that says some pretty saying that you like so much. For a guy, but you don't got a sink? We can pull one out of the dumpster and make it work. Plenty of them in the dumpster. But no, we can't have that. We have to have the sink match everything in the kitchen. The carpets have to match the drapes. Oh, honey, that's not burgundy. That's crimson. Holy shit. Do you know the difference between a Phillips bit and a standard bit? What fucking color it is makes no goddamn difference. Does it fucking work? Guys buy fancy sports cars and shit when they hit their 40s, especially those who grew up being nerds. They were never going to have the fucking money for that nice shit. Only the stuck-up assholes who had rich parents had that nice shit. Look at these little fuckers in this town. Is it a bunch of little asswipes and tore-up vehicles that are being asswipes? No, it's motherfuckers whose parents have the money for brand new vehicles and lift kits and lighting this and bullshit that. It's the rich kids here. The ones whose mommies and daddies have money. The ones who take a whole bunch of money from all of us taxpayers. Farmers are the shittiest people in the country. When it comes to bitching about people on fucking welfare, you'll never find anybody shittier than an American farmer. They take more corporate welfare and more subsidies than all of the rest of us combined. All of us combined. And then they bitch about people who aren't getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in welfare every year and say that those are the reason that they're always broke. Nebraska farmers, what do? They go down to the bar. There ain't no blacks or Mexicans there to blame for a goddamn thing. But these idiots are going to go down to the bar and spend at least $50 a night on alcohol. $50 a night at the bar so they can go complain about how blacks and Mexicans are the reason they're always broke. I live on $822 a month disability. Now let's take $50 a month times 30 days. That's $1,500 per month. That's almost double what I get disability every month. These fucking pieces of shit, cheese dick goddamn farmers spend almost twice that every month just on fucking booze. God bless America. Now, Art Sloan, I'm thankful that you got on here and typed at me. I don't want to live for another day. What are the chances that I'll wake up tomorrow morning? They're pretty good, and I hate that. Just another day for my friends and family to show that they never gave a shit. Just another day that predators get to harm me because my friends and family don't give a shit. Now, do I blame all women? No. There are some women who aren't fucking stupid. There's also some men who are not fucking stupid. If you're not a fucking idiot, this doesn't apply to you. Unfortunately, a lot of you fucking idiots seem to think that you're smarter than everybody else. And that's what denotes you as fucking idiots. When somebody is raped by their daddy, but you think you know better than them even though you weren't there, well, you might think that you're smarter than the person who had to endure the abuse, but you're not. And you're showing that you're not. You're showing you're a fucking idiot. Obviously not you, Mr. Sloan. This is generalizing, of course, because the American people do more to stab the American people in the foot, shoot themselves in the foot, and stab themselves in the back than anybody else in the world. Nobody fucks over American citizens more than American citizens. Not even our own government. The people who get the most are the ones who are going to talk the most about how they earned it. We got little fucking cheese dicks, just turned 21, and inherit a fucking farm in Nebraska, or Wisconsin, or New Mexico, or Washington State, or Oregon. Meanwhile, there's a farmhand who's been working for their dad since 1986. That farmhand doesn't inherit shit. That 21-year-old is going to talk about how he earned it. No, you were born into a family that had it already, you spoiled little bitches. Then you're going to get government subsidies and you're going to do the same thing as your piece of shit daddy. You're going to bitch about people on welfare, bitch about black people, bitch about Mexicans, and pretend that they're stealing all your shit when you're just spending like a fucking idiot. Do you really need $1,500 worth of fucking booze in a month? The answer is no. No, you don't. Now let's take a look at a lot of the drug addicts that I'm sent to by mandated reporters. Now you're aware that mandated reporters are mandated. It's mandatory for them to do that job. It's not optional. But they get to put this one little clause in there where they say if it's credible. Well, you saw it happen. Art Sloan, you know it's credible. You saw it with your own two eyes, heard it with your own two ears if you watched that video. You know it's real. You know it's happening. Yeah, I asked Jake from State Farm. That's not his real name. Inside joke, I should say. His name's not really Jake from State Farm. Now, last night, I asked him something that I ask many people who were there and witnessed these situations. See, my predators want to pretend that I'm a schizophrenic, delusional idiot and that I'm making everything up. That guy last night, when I asked him the first time, did you hear that? He said, I didn't hear it this time. But then, of course, within 5 minutes of that, yeah, he definitely heard it after that. Definitely heard both the boys and the girls screaming that N-word and driving by. Driving by that way and screaming it, driving by that way and screaming it, driving by that way and screaming it, and driving up this way and screaming it. I've gone to the cops. They've done everything they can to victim blame and victim shame. This is what your friends are going to do if they're not real friends too. When they don't keep their word or they make a promise. If you do this, they'll do this. But you keep your end of the bargain and they don't keep their end. And then magically it's your fault that they're a lying piece of shit. There's a lot of people on here that I spoke up about their virtues, about the wonderful things that they'd done, or the wonderful things that they were promising to do. When they didn't keep their word, though, they didn't pay the consequences, I did. And every time they blame the victim, especially if the victim is male. Daniel Larson typed, "Hi, I'm back." So this morning I'm already getting harassment calls, which, without a friend or family member who gives a shit, it doesn't matter how much I document it. You guys got to speak up. This channel was made because homeless, disabled men don't get to speak up. We're not heard in court. We're not even allowed at our fucking court dates. Our public pretenders don't even pretend to defend us. They don't try to do their jobs. They don't try to listen. They try to bully their victims. Daniel Larson 101 typed, "Hi, I'm back. Still mad about my joke." Dude, I don't even remember what your fucking joke is. Just don't get on here and be a fucking troll. I'm going through hell. I don't need piddly shit, bullshit, and bullying. I don't need trolling. I need help turning this shit in. Not 10 years from now. When someone's being victimized, all of you know that ignoring the victim results in more victimization. That's also the reason that people commit suicide. Because the longer you wait, the more likely it is the victim is going to have to take this abuse for the rest of their life. So don't get on here for fucking entertainment. Don't watch this with the intent of making jokes or bossing me around or giving unsolicited advice. I don't get on here and ask for advice from you guys because you don't know what's going on. Daniel Larson 101 type, my doctor is saying that my trench foot might have repercussions in the future. Repercussions, you mean? Your auto fix or auto spelling or whatever must have fucked up. I'm assuming you meant repercussions. And yeah, trench foot does give you repercussions in the future. I mean, there's the obvious that you can get infections in your foot from open sores. You can also end up with blood poisoning from open sores. If you get blood poisoning, you got to get a lot of antibiotics, and it might not work. If your veins start turning black on your foot, they got to chop your foot off, and they have to do it quickly. If it spreads up your calf, they're going to have to cut you from the knee down. If it spreads up higher than your knee, you're probably not going to fucking make it, even if they amputate. Daniel Larson 101 typed, I'm very popular on social media. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about popularity. I give a fuck about what's right. Obviously, I'm not popular on social media, but people come to my channel anyway. Mostly trolls, mostly people who want to bully. Daniel Larson 101 typed, it feels like I'm walking on crushed bones. Yeah, you might be. You might be. There's a lot of other stuff that go into that, but you might actually be walking on your own crushed bones. I've known 3 women since Natalie died that had to go to the doctor with broken feet. Doctors didn't even do an x-ray, told them they were fine and go home. Turned out all 3 of those women had broken feet. Yeah. Speaking of crushed bones, that's how my back feels all the time. It's not just the bones, it's the muscles just constantly aching. How about before you start trying to shove drugs onto a homeless person like they're only there for drugs, how about you actually listen to what's going on? Doctors don't do that when you're homeless. I've had to go through all of this absolutely alone. Because see, people's words ended up just being empty words. When Michelle Yoko Stewart promised me that she wasn't going to do what everybody else does, which is promise to help and then not look at anything. Promise that she'll answer the phone. She'll get a hold of me. If she can't answer the phone, she'll get a hold of me as soon as she's able to, and it'll be within just a couple hours. But then she ignored me for literally a whole week. That may not sound like much, but it's a lot when you need to turn in your fucking predators right away. And you have to wait a fucking week for this lady who promised she wasn't going to do this, and then she does exactly what she promised she wouldn't. Good luck finding a woman who's not like that. And I don't mean finding a woman as a wife or a girlfriend or anything of that nature. And we got a lot of predators on this planet, don't we? We got a lot of predators like wolnez, wants to project his bullshit on others. Alright, that's not who I thought it was. Trenchfoot's nasty, just so you know. When I was in Virginia, they tried claiming that I had diabetes. Fuck no, I had foot rot. Those aren't diabetic ulcers, that's a foot rot from being in Virginia, where it's fucking humid as all hell. Having to live in my car, I was fucking severely dehydrated on my birthday in 2016. I still went out with Natalie and Alicia Bollinger to Elliot's Coffee Grounds at their request. I didn't want to go anywhere, and Natalie didn't want to go anywhere. So we went where her sister wanted to go. Please help me to get assisted suicide legal, please. Please help me to get assisted suicide legal. I don't give a shit about your fucking trench foot. I don't. I care about the fact that I've been fucking reaching out for help, fucking screaming for help for 7 goddamn years, and not a fucking one of you has done anything other than fucking type shit at me. Fuck off.